I mentioned this poll yesterday before it was fully finished. Now the poll has concluded, and 44% of the people who had the free FSD trial after it expired have subscribed to FSD. 56% of the people didn't. Sawyer's followers are of course much more likely to subscribe, so the actual numbers in the end will be smaller than this, but certainly it's a positive indication, especially keeping in mind that you have that nag. Some people are really enjoying the software. Here's someone driving basically for more than 99% of the miles on Tesla software. We know based on what Elon Musk said earlier that the limiting thing that's stopping Tesla from making progress even faster with FSD is now the number of interventions. Tesla needs more intervention data. So you can help Tesla actually if you have FSD. When I disengage, I try to submit a voice note, quickly explain what's going on. There seems to be a problem with FSD reading speed limit signs incorrectly. If you encounter that, just simply disengage, submit a voice note, and you will be helping Tesla make progress faster. Also, sometimes Tesla seems to confuse this sign with the speed limit. You have to go at least at 40 miles an hour here, but the car thinks that's the speed limit. I think in 12.5 it will probably get much better because Elon did say that in 12.4 the vehicle will react much better to hand signals, and 12.5 might actually nail it. So I imagine they will also include more data from signs. I actually really like it. If you are driving manually for an extended period of time, the user interface will prompt you to activate FSD. James Douma just dropped some wisdom. He replied to this post: can anyone help me understand how to generally correlate compute with anticipated FSD advancement? Remember that at least at this moment, supposedly Tesla is not limited by compute. So this is quite important to understand what Tesla is able to do with all of that extra compute. More compute gives faster ingestion, pre-processing, training, validation, but it also gives the option of training with more data. You know, the thing that Tesla has more of than anyone else. Training more model variations, training more conservatively for better results with less labor, and running more parallel training paths. That's why Elon Musk is talking about, oh, well, we just released 12.3.6, but we are about to release 12.4, and he's already talking about 12.5. All of these versions are being trained basically at the same time. Pete Bannon described compute as a currency that you could spend in lots of different ways to make the process better and faster and get better results. And as a company, I don't think you can ever have too much money, and the same goes for compute. You can never have too much compute, really, because we know very little about the details of Tesla's internal training configuration and even less about the current things they are focused on. It's not really possible to predict with any detail how in particular they are using additional compute. But it's going to be true that more compute, almost any amount, will let them leverage their people and fleet more effectively to get a better FSD sooner. The more compute they have, the better it will be and the faster it will come. The metrics we can see from outside have very limited applicability because they don't have statistical power, and the essence of what metrics can tell at this stage is statistical. If you have access to FSD, the best measure is how the system performs for you. If you don't have access, then the opinions of other regular people using it is probably the best you can do. Those YouTube videos are useful even though they are naturally going to be cherry-picked and fairly noisy, which is why I always say if you have a Tesla, make sure that you go on FSD drives and try to take the same drive. So earlier on V11, I would go to my business, and it's about a 15-minute drive, and I would have multiple interventions. Now I regularly get 0 interventions, so now I picked a much more difficult new route for me to test and stress test FSD. And this way, I would never get tricked by someone saying, well, this new version is actually much better, but if I try it and it's worse for me, well, maybe overall it's better, but it's not better for me. So then I can adjust my expectations based on that, because FSD has to eventually work everywhere. The best part is hearing longtime users talk about how they have seen it evolve over recent years. I'm really looking forward to seeing how 12.4 and then 12.5 perform in users' opinions. Our first look at 12 is informative about the current state of the system, but it doesn't tell us much about how quickly the new planning approach will advance. It's promising, but more evidence will be welcome. If 12.4 is significantly better than what we have right now, and if 12.5 does that again, I think that will be quite a bullish thing. For long-term investors, I'm just wondering, when will eventually Wall Street and all of these other investors realize it's actually a big deal? Oh, we are learning more about these protesters that stormed Tesla's Giga Berlin factory. Here's one of these protesters. This is her X profile. Don't follow me. I'm lost too. Well, since some of the campaigners have been camping out in the woods near Giga Berlin for a few months now, since February, some of them got lost in the forest, probably. So this is what she posted. Hey, Elon Musk, it's us again, protesting only against you. So come on, stop the water and land grabbing. So it is an environmental protest. Stop your useless Gigafactory. Leave the city alone. There's also a community note under this post. The water consumption of Tesla is very low compared to the economic benefits for the country and comparable at the level of some farms. They also recycle 100% of their water. The country's environmental office also sees no danger. If you are going to protest a company that has done more for the environment than pretty much almost any other company out there, I will have a question for you. Did you write this on your phone made by child labor? Nothing is perfect in this world, but protesting a company that is really trying to do the best it possibly can, and that certainly is not doing nowhere near as much bad as any other company out there. This is just as hypocritical as wearing jeans. Because keep in mind, each pair of jeans worn by all of you requires twice as much water to produce as one Model Y in Giga Berlin. And I see a lot of people wearing jeans. Now, I actually don't wear jeans, but it has nothing to do with environmental reasons. About 5 years ago, I had a thesis that EV-hating folks will start vandalizing Teslas as they gain popularity. Instead, they have pro-climate folks vandalizing Teslas as they gain popularity. The most ironic outcome is the most likely. But these people to me seem more like they're anti-capitalism and maybe even anti-human.